Okay, so today's date is the 4th of October, and it's Monday. We're going to be starting a new unit this week. The last couple of weeks we've done ancient Chinese civilizations. Is that right? So today we're going to begin Knowledge 3 or Unit 3. And this unit is called Ancient Greek Civilization. Does anybody know the country Greece? Or ever heard of Greece? When Mr. Engel was in the Air Force, he got to live there for a year in Greece. So I got to see some pretty neat things over there. What? No, I just have all this Air Force stuff. So I can show you some pictures later, but right now I want to concentrate on the lesson. So if you haven't got your journal out, go ahead and get that out now. Bentley, I just said get your hands off the devices, please. Would you like to move another clip? Question, sir? Okay. All right, so I'm going to present now. Were you able to get in, Faith? All right, is there anyone that cannot see the presentation? Now, you two up front, that's a warning for you also. I thought I moved you a minute ago. Are you going to be able to handle it there? Prove me wrong. All right, so as I was saying, this is Unit 3, Lesson 1. Lesson 1's called the Ancient Greeks. Here's the standards for today's lesson. Students will review the key components of what is known as a civilization and what makes up a civilization, and be able to recount, that means recall or tell me, key details about the ancient Greek civilization. And then finally, students are going to be able to demonstrate an understanding of the prefix in, in. And then the tier 2 word, independently. Say it. All right, so that's your cue to go ahead and open up your journal. Independently is spelled independently. Oh, it's right there in front of you. Independently. Now, independently is defined as own your own, freedom from control of other people or things. When I tell you to sit there and do independent work, that means you do it on your own. Who is that You don't write on top of your Chromebooks, guys. That's why you keep hitting the volume. Slide it over to the side. If you're right-handed, your notebook goes over on the right-hand side. Did you write the definition, Brantley? You did. The whole thing. Where's your journal? And pencil. Where is it? Oh, you writing it invisibly? Come on, dude. You did not only not do it, but you lied to me. I don't like that.
Wait, you have to write the words on your independent. The first one.
You write this. The word, and then here's the definition. We always do that, Bentley. At least I tell you to. So it's not in your desk, your journal's not in your desk. Look in there. Watch out. Think it's in Miss Thompson's office, maybe? Because I don't see it up here. Did anybody happen to get a second journal on their desk? I don't know where it is. All right. Dustin doesn't have this. Nikki, did you get that definition written down?
Yes. Yes.
Say it again.
Yes. It's my
I'm sorry, say again. My volume was back down.
I thought you used
Still writing?
no.
You get it down?
Yeah.
Then no, go sit down.
Yeah.
Independently. On your own. Free from control of other people or things. Christina, pick your stuff up and move. I'm tired of hearing you talking. I could have done that again if I tried. All right. And my sample sentence says, as you grow older, you learn to do more things independently, like reading a book by yourself. Would you think that's independently? Yeah. It's Connor's. I don't know, dude. Where yours is? We'll have to do a big man hunt for it. Yes. Try to go potty. I told you to go when we were down there. All right, does anyone else need this definition? Let's go. Come on. On your own, free from control of other people or things. Being able to do stuff by yourself without needing assistance or help. Okay. Now, let's do some review from things that we've already learned and see if you can recall any of these things. Okay? Or maybe it's a question that we've talked about before. So the first question I ask is, what does the word ancient mean? And I know I've asked you this before, because I remember saying something else. Lola, what's ancient? Huh? Royal, ancient? Okay. Lucy? Something that's very old and what? Okay. Alden?
Something that is made a long time.
Okay. Matthew?
Ancient means like well and old, like old cards. Ancient cards.
Some of the things that we learned in the previous unit, remember we looked at some of those writings that they did, the cuneiform. Was that ancient? Yeah. Some of the structures that they built. What about, let's see, McKenna, what about wonders of the world? Would we consider some of those things ancient? Great Wall of China. Would you say that's ancient?
Yes.
Yeah. And Petra and some of those other things that we looked at. Yes. Machu Picchu. Put those pencils away. Next time I see them out, you're moving a clip. All right. Let's go to the next question. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mariah. I'm trying to remember which one that was. The circle building?
Yes. Remember that that has a hole in it?
Oh, the Colosseum. Yeah. Colosseum. Yeah, that's really ancient. Yes. Look at you going back. I love it. Where I had you write those wonders of the world down. Very good. I love it. Yeah. Okay. My next question. What is the word civil? How do you say that? Oh, what's civilization mean? Bentley? What's a civilization? It could consist of a building. Let's see, Sophia. What does a civilization consist of? Look at you, +1. What else? writing, jobs. Yes, ma'am. You, Lola. Uh-huh. Ancient, it is. Would people be part of a civilization? Absolutely. Groups of people. Did they have farming?
Yes.
Leaders, you said, and writing. Good. All right, next question. Oh, I already blew this one. What ancient civilization have we learned about so far, Nikki? What ancient civilization have we learned about so far?
Speak up.
Farming?
What?
Speak up.
We
Say it again.
even wrote we wrote in their language.
Farming.
What was that language?
What?
Yes. And what was the
What
language?
country? Don't raise hands. Take those.
Not
Starts
farming.
with a C.
Starts with a C.
Go ahead, Mariah.
See?
What ancient civilization have we learned about so far? Go ahead and chime in, anyone. China or Chinese, yes. Good. All right, yes, question or comment? Oh, you talking about the one in Mexico?
Yeah, I know how they built it.
With out of stone?
Yeah, and there's also a little tank underneath it. And there's a secret inside of what's under it.
It's in a movie, isn't it?
I saw it on the app where you can watch the video.
Oh, okay, that thing we put on there.
There's something inside of it, like it kind of looks like a kitty.
I wonder what they did inside there. You always just see the outside, but
And there's a little.
wonder if they had like secret meetings inside there or something.
They did, and also there's something that keeps the same holding up.
All right. This is kind of leading to my next question, what we're talking about right now. What do you remember about these civilizations? We're talking about how they didn't have machinery, did they?
No.
Everything was built by hand, wasn't it? Muscle.
All they built was paper.
Yeah. What else, Lola? Huh? Oh, the wall, part of that wall, is that what you're talking about? Where it looked like pencils? Yeah. When I see that, I always think of Xander. Because he's the one that brought it up, I think, right? He said what they look like. Isn't it funny how you can remember little things like that? Who remembered what? I'm old, but I still got pretty good memory sometimes. Even though I can't remember to take roll in the morning. Go ahead, Caitlin. What were you going to say, babe? Houses. Yeah, and some of them didn't have roofs on them, did they? They were kind of open. And I think that was due to the weather. Some parts of the world hardly ever get any rain. I remember, and we talked about there was vases up there, and Remember those towels hanging over? All right, Lola. That was a different part. Now, if you're by the mountains, I think the weather's going to be a little different than out in the open desert. Because when you have a mountain, that affects the way the wind blows in. So, like we live near that mountain range, Rockwood Mountain, and all this mountain range here. So we get some weird weather here. Sometimes when it rains all around us, but it's like we got a dome over us, kind of. It'll snow in certain places, but we won't hardly get any snow here. All right, let's get back on track. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Let's see. We learned about, it says here in grade 1, you learned about the Aztec, Egyptian, and Mayan civilizations. Do you remember that in grade 1? Sophia says yes. All right. Now, here's where we are now at this point. It says the civilization you're going to be hearing about developed after the Chinese civilization. So we have ancient Chinese civilization, and then years later comes along the Greek civilization, okay? And it's still remembered today for the way that its people thought and lived. Now, this civilization, it says, developed in an area of the world across the Atlantic Ocean on the continent of Europe. I'm going to show you a map here in a minute where it's located. And then we'll compare it to where we live. All right, that's what I just read. Sorry. I meant to flip the slide. All right, here we go. Let me go back to this. Stop presenting. All right, I'm going to present again. Bentley, tilt your screen down a little bit. Where'd Xander? Oh, there he is. Matthew, tilt yours down, son. Faith, you too. All right, so here's a picture of early, the way Europe looked years ago. It's not as developed as it is nowadays, okay? In some ways, yes, okay? Now, Mariah, what do you need? The way they write like this? Yes, they still write like that. All right, about 2,800 years ago, there lived a civilization of people called the ancient Greeks. Today, part of the area where this ancient civilization lived is called Greece. Say it. Long ago, however, the ancient Greeks lived on a much larger area of land. The boundaries or edges of the ancient Greece spread widely to the east and to the west, into many areas bordering on the Black Sea. Let's see here. Expeditions or journeys by land and by ship allowed the ancient Greeks to travel as far west as present-day Britain, that's England, and as far as India. The ancient Greeks traveled to explore far-off lands and also to trade. That means to buy or sell goods with people from other areas. Yes, Matthew, question or comment?
Why do they call it the Black Sea?
That's just the name they gave it. I don't know. That's something we can look up maybe later. Okay? Well, that is kind of interesting, isn't it?
Maybe because they see it black. Maybe because they see it black.
Now, the Greeks had writing systems, leaders, and laws and religions, which is known as a civilization, right? Yeah. Now, all these ancient civilizations discovered ways to design and build magnificent structures or buildings that can still be seen today. You will see pictures of some of these structures in another lesson. So if you look down here where these 4 dots are located, you see Athens. You see that word Athens? And then you see the word marathon. Now, do you know about the word marathon, what that means?
Yes.
What is a marathon?
It's like one.
It's a long race, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. It's 26.2 miles. That's a marathon.
Oh, it's so in a mile.
Lola, question or comment? It's a long ways, a marathon. Alden, question or comment?
Black Sea could be the Black Sea. They call it Black Sea because
Possible. We'll check it out later. The ancient Greeks, however, were also different from other ancient civilizations in many important ways. Unlike the Egyptians and Mesopotamians, the Greeks did not develop around a great river like the Nile in Egypt or the Tigris and Euphrates near Babylon. Greek land was not as fertile as the land near those wide flooding rivers. Look at the land in this picture here. Does it look like you could grow crops? Huh? Greece is a land of high, rugged mountains, and in many parts, farming for the ancient Greeks was a struggle. What's a struggle? When you struggle. Hard to do. Very good, Bentley. It was hard in many parts for the ancient Greeks to farm. You're going to hear about one type of hardy or strong tree that the ancient Greeks were able to grow in abundance. Abundance means in large amounts. In addition to being farmers, some Greeks were also shepherds who took care of sheep on this rugged land. Do you know what kind of tree this is? Nikki or McKenna? Any idea what that tree might be? Any guesses? Sit down, Bentley. I cannot see your face on the screen. Thank you. Sit down on your bottom. Thanks, buddy. Same with you, Faith. All right, this is an olive tree. Say it. You ever had olives on your pizza? All right, so this is a picture or a drawing of a fishing boat. And then on the right you see what's known as a harbor. Some Greeks built harbors near the Black Sea, the Aegean Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea. And many became expert sailors and fishermen using boats like the one in this image. All right, please stop raising hands. Thank you. Hands off the devices. The largest island in the Mediterranean Sea was known and is still known today as the island of Crete. Say it. Crete. And it's beautiful there. I've never been there, but I want to go there. It's south of mainland Greece. Lucy, please. Because they were surrounded by water, the ancient Greeks on the island of Crete became especially skilled seafarers, a name for people such as fishermen and sailors who earned a living working at sea. All right, quit that. Playing with your hair. All right, so look at the terrain here. Do you think it's possible to drive a car around in here?
No.
Now this is pretty modern, a modern day picture. This is not ancient. But what you see way up there in the background, I want you to concentrate on as I read. The high Greek mountains also made a difference in the way the ancient Chinese Greece was ruled. Because the mountains split Greece into a lot of little valleys, it was very difficult to move from place to place. Many Greeks stayed in one place and married people from that same community. Now, each city in the valley became like its own little nation, which we refer to today as a city-state. Say it.
City-state.
Each city-state had its own government and its own laws, which controlled the surrounding area. All of the ancient Greek city-states shared the same language, although each city-state had different dialects or slightly different ways of speaking the language. All right, I'll wait on you three. Please don't disrupt my lesson. We're doing good. Sometimes the Greeks had the same idea of how to live their lives, but they did those things independently of one another. Yes, question? They speak Greek, a Greek language. No, it's nothing like English. In fact, the ancient Greeks were highly competitive, and only in an emergency would they work together. After each emergency, each city-state would go back and work independently. So only in emergencies would they come together. Otherwise, they didn't associate or talk to each other. People in each city-state thought of themselves less as united Greeks and more of citizens as their own community. Now, back up there, look at the mountains up there. The higher up in elevation you go, the colder and thinner the air gets. So it's more likely to snow up there, and it's also harder to breathe. It's just the way it is. I'm sorry, I didn't see any hands. Yes, Bentley. Like a what? What's a heart? Right here? The stone? That's just the way it's developed. And now it's you can see snow up there. See those white parts? That's snow, yes.
You answered my question. I was about to ask what goes wrong.
Yep. The ancient Greeks looked at the world around them very differently from the way other people of their time looked at things. For example, you're going to hear the story of how one city-state decided not to have a king anymore. Not only was this different from what other Greeks were doing, it was completely different from what the Mesopotamians and Egyptians had done before, and from what the Aztec, Inca, and other civilizations would do in the future. Yes. All right, keep listening. You will hear more about this later. For now, all I will say is that the Greeks had a unique or a special and one-of-a-kind way of seeing and thinking about things. We have a lot of exciting adventures ahead of us as we learn about the unique way the ancient Greeks lived and thought about things, and how their many contributions are actually a part of our lives today. Okay, just a few questions. Remember, a civilization is a group of people living together in a well-organized way. All right, raise your hand if you can tell me about the terrain or the land of ancient Greece. Bailey, what was the terrain like? Easy to grow crops, right? Fertile soil. Huh? No? What was it like? Adelaide, what was the terrain like? What was the land like? Smooth and able to grow crops and stuff? Oh, no? What was it like? Rocky? Mountainous? Right. Remember that picture we saw? What was the only thing in that picture that was growing pretty much? Sophia? What kind of tree? An olive tree, right? Lucy? Sit down where I can see you on the camera.
And the sun is also shining on the ground.
Yeah. And depending on the time of year in Greece, there were long periods of time where it didn't rain when I lived there.
Nothing well if it snows.
Yeah.
The sun goes back
So like in the summertime, rarely rain. We'd go to the beach every day, pretty much, unless we were working.
And it also was rusty there, and while the rocks were down, I saw brown stuff on it.
Was there a river beside there, Xander? There was? A river? That's not a river. Brantley? No rivers, right? No. They were, however, surrounded by seas. You are correct. Remember the Aegean Sea, the Black Sea, the how do you say that? Mediterranean. Mediterranean. That'll be on your spelling test Friday. Faith? Huh? Sit down and look at the camera. The girls at home want to see you, not your behind. Now, ask me again. What's the question? Did you forget already? Good Lord. Whatever. Lola. Shh. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that one more time? Sounds like a good question. To grow. Oh. Yes, you are correct. We were talking about before you came in, Miss Chris, about elevation. Elevation, it means you're going either up from sea level or down from down towards sea level. Now, like when I lived in Colorado, the elevation is very high. So it takes time for you to get acclimated to breathing. Same here in Greece. When you go to the mountains, harder to breathe up there. So you can't run around like you can at here. You get really winded. Like if you were running at recess, but you were over there in those mountains, you'd be going, yeah. And you do get headaches. Yes, Lucy. There is no oxygen.
The air is
Thinner. Yes, very good. Alden? Oh, yeah? Okay. All right, so when we were talking about the terrain here, it says it was rugged and rocky, like Adelaide said. It's not near a river, which Xander and Brantley said. Hands off, please. Thank you. Surrounded by seas. We named those. It was not as fertile for growing crops as land was in other areas. You could see by that picture, nasty, dirty dirt and just rocks. Couldn't really grow much of anything. I'm sorry. Now, that leads to my next question, which I think we've already answered. How did this terrain affect how the ancient Greek civilization developed? Could they farm as much? I'm sorry? How did they use their surrounding areas though? Many people became what? Remember we talked about the island Crete? They became fishermen, trades. They traded. Remember that showed that picture of the seaport and eventually travel. Yes. I'd say in some areas they probably had some decent land, because when I go down to Athens, they'd have like a farmer's market and you could buy things. Yes. Huh? Do they? You know, we have one here in Harriman, right? In the summer, spring and summer. All right. Any questions about today's read aloud? McKenna, questions? What's one thing you learned about today's lesson, McKenna? Tell me one thing you learned that you didn't know. You guys turn your cameras back on and quit touching these. I'm about ready to start moving clips. I'm mad. McKenna, what's one thing you learned that you didn't know after hearing it today?
They weren't able to farm.
Did you think it would probably be easy to farm?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nikki, how about you? What's one thing you learned from today's lesson?
Some farmers put check the area versus any animals to stomp on the ground
Uh-huh.
thing.
Right.
Then check the ground. Of course, then it'd be clear, no farm. Or
Very cool.
animals get more food.
Yeah, that's good.
I talked about farmers.
Now, do you know of anybody that does any farming around where you live, Nikki? Nobody does it?
We grow tomato plants.
Look at that. Did you not know that, Nikki?
Bit my tongue.
Don't be biting your tongue. We'll let you get some lunch here in a minute if you're that hungry.
I was got food in the kitchen.
All right. All right, Lola, question, comment? I'm sorry? You have a plant? What kind of plant? Okay. All right, so that's going to conclude. I'm sorry, we got a couple more questions. Hang on, Mariah. Sorry, I didn't see your hand. Uh-huh. Yeah, we have a bunch of peppers at my house. Of course, my wife loves hot stuff, so we grow them. Yeah. Bentley? Uh-huh. Cactus. Cactus. You didn't touch it, did you? Hang on. I didn't see your hand. Where are your hands anyway? That's just like a boy. Mischievous. All right, real quick, Caitlin. Oh, yeah. I see on camera a yellow and white striped shirt, but I don't know who that is because I can't see their face. Oh, there you are. Look in the camera where Nikki and them can see you. Look how nice they're sitting there at home. Go ahead, Faith. Did you remember? Hang on a second. Go ahead.
My mom had, she got receipts at the store that belonged to God. She got watermelon and then I think pumpkin.
Does your mom like peppers?
She got the green one,
I bet she does like peppers.
but soon we're gonna talk.
With a name like Barajas, I would think you like Mexican food, huh? Hot stuff. That's what I'll start calling you, hot stuff. All right, we're gonna hang up. You guys at home, get you some olives or peppers or some kind of lunch other than your tongue, Nikki.
Food like pepperonis,
Sounds good.
cheese
All right,
with hot sauce.
I'll let you guys go, and we will talk to you later.
Pepperonis with hot sauce.